skills, gender, youth, and accessibility in innovation matters with European governments. She also worked with World Intellectual Property Organization as well as in various UK-based NGOs. She holds a diploma in business administration, marketing and communication, as well as international relations and global governance. She was awarded the United Nations International Telecommunication Union Innovation Awards and recognized as one of the top 100 Swiss digital shoppers in 22-23. See, today's session is all about branding yourself, strategies for job success. We are excited to hear from you, and I'm sure that your insights will be invaluable. Welcome, Anna Maria Mashkurti, and it's all for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here today and to share with you a little bit about the journey, let's say, that self-branding has helped me to get where I am today, but as well as how you can use that personal branding, that self-branding for yourself, especially with a focus on finding the right job or the right career path. It could be in a corporate world, it can be in a startup or in a government entity, but really how to position yourself out there. I'm sure that many of you have noticed that when we talk about self-branding, it's something that everyone is online today. Everyone is looking a little bit at, what profile do you have online? Which social platforms are you on? And even though many of us might say, I don't want to be there, or I don't want to take so much attention to the social profile because I have a big career, I have a good CV and good references. In the end of the day, we all know that when we meet someone new, or if we go to a job interview, we always Google each other, right? We always see what's out there, what's online on that person. And even though you might say, I don't care about social media, I don't care about my online brand, someone is going to be looking at what you have put out there. So this is what we'll be focusing today. And at the end of the session, I'm happy to take questions from you. And I'm trying to make this session as real as possible, to really share as many tools that I use myself, and really try to make you think about how you can do that for your own. I'm just going to, move to the next slide. So just looking at the agenda for today, I will be focusing a little bit on what is personal branding. I think everybody has a different opinion or idea on what personal branding is. So we'll try to just look at a little bit like what's out there. Why is it important? Why we care about it? Why we should pay attention to it? And then we're going to focus a little bit more on how it can land you a job. Or when I mean job, right, I don't mean necessarily working in a company or corporate. I mean also a role in a startup, a co-founder role or anything like that. So take that really a career that you want to be in. And the last one is I'm focusing a little bit on the United Nations case study. I worked for the United Nations for almost 10 years, and really personal branding helped me land the first job, I would say, but also helped me kind of move within that career further and further, because people followed me online and really understood, what I was doing, and really tried to position me in the next step. So that was very, very much helpful. Like a little bit about myself, as I said, I first spent my first years at the United Nations, my first years of career. I'm Albanian originally. I moved to the UK to do my studies, as many people I think move in the beginning of their lives abroad sometimes, or do the studies in their country. I studied international relations, and that was really the passion that I had, and this is why I ended up at the UN. I tried to focus on which agency would be the one that I would be very passionate about, given having a career in politics. And this is where it landed me. And after the UN journey, I moved more into the tech investment space, and that was a gradual move. Given that when I was in the UN, I worked a lot with new technologies, standardizing new technologies, and really understanding how companies, especially startups, are coming out there and pushing this emerging tech to the kind of the border of it, to the edge of it. So I worked with a lot of tech companies. I launched my own incubator program while being in the UN, helping a lot of startups, especially understand standardization. And then I moved to the Swiss government, the entity that I was leading marketing and communication, as well as I was part of the investment group. And that really helped me really understand a little bit further from the private sector side, let's say, even though it was a government entity, we were running it as a VC, really to understand the importance of what investing can do for companies. And then finally, I moved into completely private investments, so working for family offices and then running an investor club, looking for deal flow. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, supporting startups and then companies in that space to raise funds, to really kind of prepare themselves for those pitches. And that's where personal branding also comes in a lot. A lot of the CEOs, sometimes they are a scientist or they're a developer, they're a product person, and they're very good at doing that, but they're not very good at pitching themselves, let's say, or putting themselves out there in the world and branding themselves the right way. And sometimes we have seen that when we go to those pitches, investors will say, what have you written about this? Where have you spoken about this? And who are you in the industry? Are you a respected name in the industry, in this space that you are trying to raise money for? And that helps. Of course, not everyone can be at the, top level, but you have to be at the level that you believe, at the stage. If you are starting your company, there should be something that you have done around this space so that you can kind of really convince those investors. So this is a little bit about my background, and I will move now directly onto the session. But first, I would love to know a little bit about everyone here. What's your current occupation, in the sense that you can be a student, you can be, working a part-time job, freelancing, anything, and what's the dream job? So that could be also, as I said, not only working in corporate, but I want to start my own company. I'm a musician, anything like that. So I would love to see in the chat if people could just type a little bit, just to see who we have in the room. So I just opened the chat to see who we have. So, okay, I see some people want to be a branding teacher, senior manager on compliance, jobless. All right, let's keep them coming. I think there's a lot of people in this chat, so I want to see a little bit more to get an idea. Okay, so we have some executives, barrister, data analyst, graphic designers, students, mentor, doctor, engineer, government trainer, audit manager. All right, doctor, currently studying and likes to have a job in the UN. You're in the right place, definitely. All right, self-employed, HR services. That's really great. So travel consultants, people studying AI, finance managers. The good thing about this is that there's almost, I think, 300 or more participants in this call. So keep those coming, because what's interesting here is that this is also a networking space, right? So as you see someone in the chat maybe putting a job that you would like to be in, or a job that you are looking for, or someone you aspire to be like. So we have someone, for example, who is a cybersecurity manager. So if we have someone in the group that wants to do cybersecurity, reach out to that person now with a private message, and say, oh, let's connect later and have a chat about this. This is a career I would like to come in. So it's nice to see in the chat that there's people from everywhere, agripreneurs, business owners. So if you see someone, use that. And this is what I talk about when I talk about personal branding, right? Anywhere you can personally brand yourself. If you are in a webinar like this, you might think, oh, I cannot meet anyone. This is not a live session. I'll just be listening to someone talk for the next 45, 1 hour. And, I'm just going to put that on the side and then not really pay attention, just have it as music in the background while I do anything else. Usually that's how people go into webinars. But look how many people now in this webinar, in this chat you have, that have different jobs. And that's very important, right? So please take a moment to really scroll through and try to see who is there and reach out to those people. Because the first step is to get the information. And then the next step is to reach out to those people. And at the end, I would also like to invite people, again, following the personal branding. And I see Wakil has done something very smart, shared its LinkedIn profile. This is exactly where I was going. So please also share your LinkedIn profile, share your your websites, your contact information, because these places are the places where you can get the next person. So this is why I always like to do this exercise, to personally understand, who we have in the room, and try to also cater a little bit to the audience, but at the same time, for everyone to understand the power of networking and the power of branding. Because what you will do now is you will share your LinkedIn profiles. And if your LinkedIn profile is not on point and it doesn't look great and it doesn't attract the right attention, someone might just click on it and say, okay, I'm not interested in this profile. And if you're not sending the right messaging, you might also miss out. Let's say if you're now having a job, but you want to be an entrepreneur, if you don't message that the right way, even in a subtle way, someone from this group that might click on your profile, they will say, okay, I'm not sure what this person does. They're in a totally different field. Maybe I shouldn't connect. So please keep, sharing your profiles here and connecting, because this is the point also when you come to such a webinars. Now, let's look a little bit at what personal branding is. And I'm sure everybody has opinions about it. So feel free to also write in the chat what you think personal branding is. When I reached out to someone, years ago, and I said, what is personal branding? They said, oh, it's just this, fake things that you put online about yourself and push yourself to look so much better than you are in reality, and all of that. That's not really it, right? So what we put out online, it's one part of it. But how people perceive us, it's another part of it. A few years ago, I did an exercise on personal branding, and something that I will go into more detail a little bit later to really explain that everybody can do. And I understood that, I was putting out something, but actually people were getting a totally different impression. So I wanted to, put myself as this, mentor for companies and so on. And then people looked at me as if I was a coach, and I was looking for clients. So that was definitely not what I was going for. But I never actually took the time to really understand and kind of test what I put out there. How is it being perceived? Because I thought, this is what I'm doing. This is how I think it should be, sent. And I didn't care really how people perceived it. So this is why I find it in a two-stage, right? So it's the personal brand is what you are expressing, what's your unique value proposition, how you sell yourself out there. But at the same time, it's the second part that is so important that we forget many times, or we don't care about actually double checking, if we can say like this, with others, is the perception that other people hold of you and how they associate you. So it's very important. It's like when we speak, right? We say something and we think it's one way, and then the person perceives it the wrong way. And then someone might even get offended. It's the same way with personal branding. I put a picture out of myself saying that, I'm doing this amazing thing and so on. Someone might perceive it as, oh, she's like, trying to show us what she's doing. And they're not actually taking the message that I'm trying to say. They might perceive it like, oh, she's pushing herself. She's all about herself. There's no message there. So this is why it's so important when you start your journey on personal branding. It's key for you not only to do all the things that you're supposed to do, fix your profile, position yourself and so on, but also take the time to check with people. And the people that you should check with, it's not only your friends and family, but also, colleagues at work, new friends that you are making. It's very important, especially the new people that you meet. This is key, because when you meet someone new, they don't know you. Your friends and family, they care about you. They love you. They will always say, this is great. You're doing well. But someone who doesn't know you, by checking, oh, we connected online. What did you see in my profile? What did you think I was doing? This is very, very key feedback. And it's also very easy to do. It's free, right? You don't have to pay some expensive tool or anything like that. So it's something, please keep that in mind, and always try from time to time to check on yourself and say, am I doing well? Am I sending the message that I really want to send? Or is it just me putting out articles and things, and actually people are totally getting the wrong message? So that's key. And also something I want to say about personal branding. Some people think I'm a doctor, what personal branding am I going to do? I have a job in a hospital. People come, I save lives. I don't need to spend time online. There is a lot of doctors out there. And of course, Instagram and TikTok and all of that shows us that we follow them online for, practical tips and things like that. So even if you are in industries that you might think like, I'm an accountant, what am I going to do with personal branding? You have a lot to share from your knowledge. So, take the time to make those posts and write those articles and share your knowledge, because you will be surprised how many people in your industry are looking for that voice, are looking for someone to say, okay, I'm an accountant, this is my job, but actually these are the difficulties we face, or these are some of the challenges and opportunities. So you will really find your niche online. And again, personal branding, I'm not telling you start, this should be your job, like you should be an influencer or anything like that. That's not that at all. It's really to ensure that, just like when you write your CV and make it look good and everything, ensure that online you're also sending the same message. Now, as I said, why we care about personal branding, really the two pillars, right? Pushing yourself out there, but at the same time, ensuring that people understand what you're pushing. So when you do personal branding, you also understand a little bit who you are, and you start to express yourself more confidently. Something that I've noticed with myself before I started, really thinking about personal branding and just doing it a little bit ad hoc, I was just telling people, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I would like to do this. The messaging was confusing, even to myself. I never took time to sit down and say, okay, what I want to do. This typical question that they ask you in the interviews, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? And we all think, oh, this is such a stupid question. And, I don't know where I want to see myself. I want to get a job now. I would love to work for this company. Really take the time not to think where you want to go in the next 5 years, but really to understand yourself and say, what is my goal, in the sense of, do I just want to have a job 9 to 5, and then actually my hobbies are more important in my life, or my family life is more important? So I just want to go to office, get my salary, do the best I can, but not make this into like a hardcore career. Or do I want to be totally an entrepreneur? And then you start, branding yourself in that way. So then when people look at you online, they're like, okay, this could be a co-founder for me. This person is working in a company, has a lot of skills, and maybe if I make a good offer, he or she can come in and become a co-founder. That personal branding exercise is also going to clarify what you want to do. And also remember, when you are 20 years old, you want to do something different. When you're 30, it's different. When you're 40, it's different. It's okay. I always say it's a little bit like weight. We will never be all our life in the same weight. We will fluctuate. So it's totally fine, and just accept the change. If you feel like, I wanted to have a career, for example, in the UN, and I thought that I will stay in the UN for all my life because that was my obsession, that's where I wanted to go. And actually, after 10 years, I decided, no, I want to do something different. It was very hard to leave, of course, because you have already built yourself, and you now have to rebuild yourself in another industry. So, however, it's very, very important for you to actually, take the time and know what you want to do. And this is how personal branding can help you. Because if you're not clear on what you want to do, your brand is also not going to be clear. And this means brand personal and also company branding. Again, when you are promoting yourself, it's also done with authenticity, because you are promoting your daily life, you're promoting what you're doing, your challenges, the opportunities. So this comes across as very, very authentic, and your brand becomes your reputation. So you have to really, just like all of us want to have good reputation, you have to really work behind the scenes to ensure that your reputation, it's very well created, very well thought upon. This is how personal branding can help you clarify your thoughts, but also can help you clarify your reputation online. If you are not personal branding, let me tell you something very important. If you do not personally brand, other people will brand you. Sometimes we see online, let's say I have a meeting with someone from you, and then I will take a picture and say, oh, I met with so-and-so, and he's a musician, and then he wants to be the next top musician. This is me right now branding you. This is me getting, whatever information we had in our chat and thinking I'm helping you, and I'm putting that brand online for you. And maybe that's not what you want to do right now. Maybe you want to have a recording studio and help other musicians. Maybe you don't want to be a musician. But because we exchanged, and this is what I understood, and we never checked back, someone else is going to brand you online. So ensure that you brand yourself correctly, so no one can brand you first. And I know a lot of people that are not online, and they will not come online because they believe that this is not the space they want to be. Someone else will brand you. I mean, if you're not online, someone will open a LinkedIn profile with your name and then start sending messages, right? It's totally possible. So keep that in mind. Now, when we come to landing a job, and especially in the corporate world, but also in the startup world, it's very important to be out there. LinkedIn, I cannot stress it more. It's a great tool. All of us are spending time on Instagram and TikTok, scrolling and doing all of that and posting our pictures of food and vacation and whatnot. And many people are not on LinkedIn. I mean, I've met so many people that just on Instagram, they have all their life out there and they don't take time to really make a LinkedIn profile. I stress the importance of LinkedIn because it has really helped me personally to connect with people, and it has really helped me to get even headhunted by headhunters. All the headhunters, all the HR people are on LinkedIn. Everyone is looking at your LinkedIn profile. If you think differently, it is not the case at all. I have been receiving many times messages on LinkedIn, real messages, right? Because sometimes we also get those messages that are just random and someone wants to sell you something, but real messages of being headhunted. The job that I got in the Swiss government was through LinkedIn. Someone sent me a message because of my profile, and the profile hit all the things that we're looking for. And they said, oh, this is a great match. And that's how I actually managed, of course, after the interviews and so on. So please get on LinkedIn. If you're not there, please go back and look at your profile and really try to enhance it. Put a nice picture. I mean, we all take pictures all the time. Take a time to make a nice professional picture, a nice cover, write a little bit of a biography. Now with ChatGPT, we're all blessed to use it, and we can just create beautiful biographies. You don't have to be, the perfect literature person. Just write there what you do in your own words and ask it to create a nice biography for you. Go and really write your jobs, positions, volunteering positions you have held, anything you are leading, any passion you have, any certification, and also take the time to post yourself about what you do, but also comment on other people. Commenting on other people is so important because it's like expanding your network so fast. Let's say we connect on LinkedIn right now after this webinar. Then I will write a post saying, it was so great to have this webinar and I had such a great time, right? If you comment on my post, other people that follow me and look at me, they will see you. And if you write something that may be saying, oh, thank you so much, I'm looking for so-and-so job, or I'm a co-founder of a company and this is what I'm looking for. Someone might look at it who follows me and say, wow, this is interesting. Let me comment. So if you do that intentionally, so if you want to have a job in, the environment sector, and then you go and follow those companies that are probably the top ones in the environment sector, and you comment on that, that's very important because other people in that sector will also see you and you will say, wow, this person is a very interesting person. You can say, I wrote this article, have a look. And the beauty with LinkedIn also, it gives you the opportunity to write your own articles straight on the platform. So it's very easy for you. You don't have to create a blog. You don't have to have your own website. These are like next level stuff, right? That you have to also invest a little bit financially. If you have to have a website, right? You have to have someone to create it and so on. It doesn't have to be a huge investment, but you don't need it. If you have a good, strong profile on LinkedIn, if you send everyone you meet there, so when you connect with someone, add me on LinkedIn, you can follow me on what I'm doing there. And then if you start also writing some small blogs there, that's good enough. Now, just something to remember, LinkedIn owns everything you write. So if you write a blog post there, you cannot then have it anywhere else. So if you're writing like something very, very important, a paper or an article, that shouldn't be the first platform that you post it on. But again, for daily, sharing of how to find a job, how I got this position, my hobbies and how they help me at work, these kind of topics, again, that's a great platform. And use, again, AI tools. I'm mentioning ChatGPT just because everybody knows it. But just, I think, 2-3 days ago, there's so many new tools that have come out. And really use those tools to give you ideas. This is my profile. I'm a doctor. What should I write about? And let it give you ideas of what you should write about. Let it help you enhance your writing, right? So use those tools that are out there with your unique original content to make it even better. So as I said, networking, it's very easy when you have a clear identity. Why? Because when you meet someone and you say, it's so easy when you're a doctor because you're specialized on something. You say, I'm a doctor, I'm specialized in this. This is so easy, so great. This is such an easy way to network. Sometimes, for people like myself, I'm doing investment, then I'm doing advisory, then I'm having a magazine, then I'm doing that. People get confused. So I try to really put my personal brand that all of these things I do are tied to each other. But if you have a one message brand, that's the best thing. Like, I own a shop and I sell clothes. This is the best message because it's one message brand. People get it. It's fast. It's easy. And also I understand how to interact with you in the business world. So if you own a shop, I will be like, okay, that's interesting. I need clothes or whatever. Then I will come to your shop. Or actually, no, I'm not interested. And then maybe we can just be in touch. And also very, very important, when you are personally branded well, it also helps you filter the right opportunities, because you can say, okay, Anna Maria, she works in this company. I have a similar profile like her. I have a similar journey like her. I can also work in that company. So, if you don't know your profile well, then you're also confused. And then you say, how did these people get these jobs? And why can I not get the job that I want? And so on. So that's very, very, very important. Now, some practical tips, because I'm all about the practical tips, because I hate when people just talk about what you can do. And then in the end, it's like, okay, but I still don't know how to go about it. Because I myself always participate in a lot of webinars and events. And in the end, sometimes I'm like, this is so great. I totally agree. But what can I do about it now? So the first thing is to do a 360-degree survey on your personal brand. Now, what is this? This is nothing fancy. It just sounds very fancy. It's basically make a list of 20 to 30 of your friends, coworkers, family members, whatever. You can use ChatGPT, you can use online here to create a survey about yourself. And, put questions like, what do you think I'm doing? What do you think, my career journey is like? How do you perceive me? Do you think I'm like a funny person? Do you think I'm serious? Do you think, I'm holding grudges? Small things like that. And again, these surveys are all online. So if you put like 360-degree survey on myself, template or questions, if you ask ChatGPT to write it for you, make it on a Google form. It's free, and send it to your friends. You will be surprised of what you will receive back. And for those of you that are very, very interested, feel free to write to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share the one I did for myself with the questions. And then if you feel like those resonate with you, you can also copy that. But really tell people how do you see me if I was a car? What model would I be? And you will be so surprised what people will come back. People will say, oh, you're a Ferrari because you're so successful and fast and good and everything. Or someone will be like, oh, no, you are like these old cars because you're not technological at all. And you're kind of stuck in the old days and so on. And that's going to really, really give you a wake-up call, because we never get feedback, right? We only get feedback from friends, which is very nice feedback all the time. And so we never do that. And this is something so simple. You can create a short survey, send it to everyone, but you have to make sure to send it to different groups. So pick 5 friends that know you, pick 5 colleagues, pick 5 people that maybe don't like you so much, and they will be happy to actually write like the real truth, let's say. And of course, we all kind of have the relations with those people, but we all know if they like us or not. So make sure to also include them, because they are going to give you like the key answers. And then pick people that also don't know you very well, like someone, for example, you met them once in an event. Let's say I would pick, for example, someone from this webinar that would reach out to me later, and then I would put them there because they see me only now, this time, presenting. So they will have like a totally different opinion about me. And you will be surprised. I mean, I was so shocked because some people said, oh, she's all over the place. We don't understand what she's doing. She thinks like she knows everything. So I was like, wow, this is not at all how I want to come across. But this is how I came across for some people. And of course, you have to be careful when you also read it, because cultural differences, many things, right? Like for some people, if you are very straightforward and active, that might be too much. And for other cultures and societies, that might be the way you should be. So don't take this as, this is who you are, but more like as a check that, okay, this is what people think about me. And this is a very powerful tool, because then you can turn that. So for instance, if somebody says she's always late or she always reschedules, so someone wrote to me saying, oh, she always reschedules, and it's anonymous, right? You don't know who's writing this. She always reschedules meeting. That's because I'm very busy and I'm trying to fit everyone. So from my side, I'm trying to reschedule like in a positive way. But from the people's side, they're like, oh, she's wasting my time. She keeps rescheduling and so on. So then I took that on board and I made a post about it. saying that, I know that I always reschedule. It's because of these reasons. And then people reached out and said, actually, yeah, you always reschedule, but we appreciate now to understand where you're coming from. So you can take those weaknesses also and turn them into strengths. And a lot of people also will reach out and say, actually, I also reschedule all the time. I don't know how to fix it. So I took that feedback in mind. So now I really try to make a point that if I'm scheduling with someone, I will make sure to be on that call, even if it's 10 minutes and we have to reschedule. Or I don't have to, push myself and schedule everybody in the same day. I will just move it to the time that I'm actually can commit. So this is something, that I didn't know. I thought I was being so nice and rescheduling for the next one, and people actually were like upset about it. So that's something very, very important to do. Then the next thing is what I said. Start writing on LinkedIn. If you like Twitter, also Twitter is very good. To be honest, personally, I don't understand Twitter or X. I tried it. It didn't work for me. I don't know how it works, but some people are so good. Like, I know people are amazing. If you are that person, please stay on Twitter and please have the nice LinkedIn profile, but no need to kind of do both. Pick one platform and be the top person. It's like, if you live in, like, I don't know, in a building, you should be like the top person of that building. No need to have like so many buildings and live everywhere. So pick one and be the name, let's say, in that platform, and direct everybody in that platform. At the same time, for many of us, you have a lot of skills, you have a lot of knowledge, but you say, oh, I cannot be a speaker because, being a speaker is too much. Only like those top people are going to be speakers. Absolutely not true. There is a niche for everyone. There is events for everyone. Even if you're a speaker with a group of 10 people, you will give something to them. You will, give something back. So please apply. Sometimes you'll be surprised. Even myself, back in the day when I didn't have such a maybe well done, big profile and so much experience, I applied to some events and people accepted me to speak. And I was like, wow, maybe this is a very bad event and like nobody's going and they're just, finding anyone and accepting. But actually it was okay. It wasn't a bad event at all. But that helped me, right? Because I spoke at one event and then suddenly people were like, oh, she spoke somewhere. So she will speak to this one and that one. And sometimes I did small groups. Like if you have, let's say, a group, a community, you go to a volunteering group or anything like that. Say, okay, guys, I have this, expertise. I know how to, I don't know, make your ads better on Google Ads. I got a certification on it. I want to share my knowledge with you. Make a little meeting with them and do the speech. How you brand it is key, right? If you take a bunch of nice pictures and you say you gave a speech to this select group of people and so on, suddenly people say, oh, this person is a speaker. Okay, maybe I get them to my event. Also, starting as a moderator is something very good. Sometimes you might feel like you're not so strong maybe in your field, or maybe, these events are not really like my stuff, but you can be a moderator, because moderating means that you're just going to kind of put the attention on your speakers, ask the right questions, be very good at timing, be very good at all of that. And that's so important. At the same time, it doesn't put you the pressure when someone will ask you like, okay, what about this? Because you are the expert and you are supposed to know, right? So that's also a very good starting point. If you have friends that are doing small events, say, I can be your MC, your master ceremony, I can be your moderator, start like small and also create your own opportunities. The same at work, you can say, oh guys, I'm going to give you a little workshop 1 hour on this topic because I'm very passionate about it, and so on. That's going to really, really help you, because how you put that online. So it's very important, of course, to put it online, not just do it, because as they say, if you are not putting it online, no one knows about it, right? So great, you did it. That was a great thing, but like nobody knows about it. It's a little bit like when you go to a wedding and then everybody's taking that group picture, and then you are like gone to, I don't know, take a phone call or gone to the washroom or something. It's like you never were at the wedding. So you can be there dancing, doing everything. If you miss the group picture, like that's it. So this is, always think about it. I always think about this, like you have to be on the key points, right? Otherwise, you are never there. People will say like, okay, this is a group picture. Like, where were you? Oh, I took a phone call. It's like, this is the wrong time to take a phone call, right? So make sure you are in those group pictures, and make sure to make those little, speeches here and there. Even in your high school, literally, you can go back to your high school and write to them and say, listen, I'm a career in accounting. And, I'm happy to talk to the kids in school, because when I was a kid in school, I didn't know what I want to do. And I'm happy to come and do this for free. That's amazing. You take a couple of pictures, you put it out there, people suddenly change their mindset about you. Oh, wow, you are actually a speaker. That's a very fast change, and then they will try to come back to you and say, come to this event, come to that event. So really look at your local community events, and of course global events if you feel that you are at that stage as well. And also just attend events, as many as you can, if you are in the business or of getting another job or getting another opportunity or selling your product or selling your business. Why? Because attending events could look like a waste of time. So of course you will filter what you attend. But if you're new to this game, let's say, you should attend as many events as possible for you to understand what are the events you get most out of. So in the beginning, it's like ice cream flavors, right? I don't know what I like, so I'm going to try all the ice cream flavors. Afterwards, it's like, okay, I like these flavors. I can tolerate these flavors if they get me, to the next level. And then I hate these ones and I'm not going to go there anymore. So do it like that. Go and attend different, even you're in technology, it's okay. Go attend the doctors convention if you can, right? Try to just see different events, different groups. Don't stay always with your group. Like if you're a developer, don't just hang out with developers and go to developers conferences, because that's also going to close your mind and put you in a niche. Your differentiator should be that you're a developer, you understand developers, but you actually can talk to doctors and you can actually tell them what developers do, because you also know a lot of doctors. That's like a very interesting, combination. I don't know a developer that actually has a doctor's network, right? So that's how you should think. That's why it's important to attend as many things as possible in your city, in your country, and abroad if you can, of course, in order for you to understand where you stand and also how people perceive you. And something very important is, like, people always tell me, oh, conferences are expensive, I cannot travel there, blah, blah, blah. We're all in the same boat. I'm not like a millionaire going around in conferences and so on, but I go on holiday like everybody, right? So when you go on holiday, have a look at what's happening in the city you go to and take a moment to visit those places. So I'm in the technology space, right? So I'm always looking for startups and this kind of things. If I go on holiday to London, let's say, right, and I'm visiting my family or whatever, I would never before think to check anything, because I'm on holiday. Like, I don't want to do anything, right? It doesn't make sense, because I'm already spending the money to go there, buy the ticket, live there, stay in the hotel or with the cousins or whatever you're going to do. So check out what's happening in that city and attend at least one event. That's going to make it so much easier for you. So you don't have to make the trip for that specific event, but you are kind of like matching the trips. And it's not a job, because you don't have to sell anything. Nobody knows you there. You can go, you can stay 5 minutes. If you don't like it, you can leave, right? But at least you take the opportunity to do that. And that's very, very important. Also, co-working spaces or incubators, accelerators. There's a lot of these places, especially, in like Asia, in Europe, that they are open. You can just go visit. Don't be intimidated. Like, oh, I don't know. This. That. No, just show up. There's a lot of, for example, Fongit, where I worked in the Swiss government. This is a place where we support companies. If you come from abroad, you can literally go and visit the place. You can show up at the reception. You say, I'm an entrepreneur from so-and-so country. I'm on vacation in Switzerland. I saw you guys are doing something. 100%, they will take you around. They will introduce you to the companies and so forth. And they're doing a lot of events and things like that. So really take your vacation time, to also see, can I go somewhere? Can I meet some people? Can I connect with this other country? Because I know a lot of people that travel to a lot of places, and then they always say, oh, I don't have money to go to this event and so on. Also try to think, if it's a big event that you really like in Portugal, like Web Summit, if you're in the tech space again, maybe try to make your vacation at the same time as Web Summit, so that yearly vacation you take with your family could also coincide with the Web Summit. And you don't even have to go to the main events, because these events sometimes are very expensive, but there is so many side events. For example, Web Summit is like a 30,000 people event, right? So 30,000 people, there is tons of side events which are free. So you don't even have to buy the ticket to go to the Web Summit, because all those people are in all the free events, around it. So if you just go on Eventbrite or Meetup or whatever, during the dates of Web Summit in Lisbon, you will see thousands of events that people are doing. And if you've never been to Portugal and that's where you want to go, match it at the same time. And you don't have to stay even in Lisbon. You can stay like in another town close by, and then just go on the day of the event, so that you can split, let's say, like your vacation time. So this is something very important. I just wanted to throw it out there to keep in mind, because people kind of forget about it and they think like, I need to go to this event, like I need to make it a thing. You don't have to. Even if you go one day, it's a 1 week event, one day it's good enough for you. Now, I just want to focus a little bit on the UN, and I see that there's a lot of questions also in the group, so I want to make sure that we answer all the questions and all of that. I worked in the UN, as I said, for 10 years, and the UN is a very complex place. It's a very specific place. It's a little bit like when you work for, I don't know, Nestle, or when you work for these big brands, right, that have their own ways of doing things. So when you work for the UN, for example, you don't send your CV like everywhere else. They have their own, website where you apply. They have their own questions. They have their own ways. So sometimes it's a little bit complicated to really understand it. For anybody who doesn't know what the UN is the United Nations. It's an organization that has been founded in 1945 after the Second World War, when countries came together and they said, we cannot have wars anymore. This is not cool. This is like damaging everybody. We need to have some collaboration, some discussion, some dialogue together as countries. So let's come together and found an organization. So uniting, right, the nations, that we are united with each other, and we discuss before anybody wants to start, another war in the world. So it's, of course, now it has almost all countries, 193 member states, and one of the locations is Geneva in Switzerland, and another location is in New York. However, a lot of people also forget that UN, it's not just one place, it's actually an entire ecosystem of organizations. So you have the main United Nations, and then you have the United Nations agencies, which are all part of the United Nations, but they focus on a specific topic. The most famous one everybody knows is UNICEF, because we always see their advertisements on the children, in need, etc. So everybody knows that. So that is a UN organization focusing on the well-being of children. And the other one that became famous during the COVID is WHO, or during the Ebola as well, the World Health Organization, because they were very right at the forefront of trying to put out standards and recommendations during COVID and what countries should do and so on. So for each of these agencies, people come together that have expertise on that topic. So I used to work for the Telecommunication Union. So people in telecommunication technology would come there. Countries would send their best, people in that space to come together to create new recommendations, which are kind of like laws, but you don't have to follow them. It's just like an international law, let's say, but it's not. You're not obliged to follow it. So these kind of work is done in the UN. And if you want to work for the UN, the first thing to do is always to find out where you are specialized in. So if you're a doctor, of course, the World Health Organization is a place for you. If you are working with displaced people, refugees, and so on, you have the UN High Commission of Refugees. If you're working with children and their well-being, again, UNICEF. If you're working in technology, telecommunication, the ITU. If you're working in trade, there's the UN Trade Organization. So really in this world of UN, you have to really find out which one is the best for you. And how you find that out is also by following people, that are in the space. Now, this is just a slide on why people want to work for the UN, because some people hate the UN also. They think they're useless and they're not doing anything, and it's a waste of money for a lot of countries. So there is the two discourse out there. For a lot of people, especially people that studied international relations, politics, like myself, and they are in this space at the beginning of their careers after their study, the UN is the place to be, right? Because you are going to give back to society. You really kind of will position yourself at the top. This is a great brand to have in your CV, a great brand for you. And at the same time, you also have great benefits because you are a diplomat. So you get diplomatic passport at some levels. You have good benefits because you are also traveling everywhere. You meet the top people in countries and so on, while giving back, doing good for society. Of course, as I said, there is criticism and so on. So this is not about like you should work for the UN or not, but it's just to give you a background on why most of the people are doing that. Now, when I started looking for a job in the UN, how I did that was I was living in London. So I'm Albanian. I did my life in Albania until I was 17. Then I went to the UK to do my studies. And I wanted to study politics. I knew this. But when I started to study, I started, oh, this is so different. I didn't think it was like that. I thought I was going to be an ambassador. As soon as I finish my studies, the country will say like, please become an ambassador, and that's it. Because I didn't really understand, right, what international relations and studies in politics mean. And a lot of people think like that. So we're all like, yeah, I'm going to do this study, and then boom, I'm going to be signed, like posted somewhere. So when I started to study, I was like, okay, where can I work? So I can work as an ambassador, which obviously was crushed very fast and didn't happen. Or I can work, in a company like a lot of my friends were doing. They were just doing the international relations, but this was kind of like a first level. And then they would want to work in like finance, etc. So they would minor in this. Or I would do a master's, right? Or I would work for the UN. Then I started thinking like, oh, I love the UN. I always been following. I want to work there. The top people are there and so on. So the first step was to define what you want, right? With all of these different things that I wanted to do, I needed to commit to it. It's like when you want to open a business. If you have 3 ideas and you try all 3, it's not going to happen for you. You have to eliminate and just commit. And then after, if you fail, it's fine. But at least like you did it, you tested it, no regrets, next, move to the next thing. So that's the key kind of thing. And I said, okay, I want to work for the UN. And then I started applying, for jobs in the UN randomly. I would see a job, I would apply. I don't understand what the job means. They had different levels like P1, G5, P2. I have no clue. I'm like, apply, something is going to come up. Of course, this didn't really work because I'm just applying to random jobs that I'm not qualified for. I was planning to like be a director in whatever, and I just graduated. This is ridiculous. And at the same time, I didn't research the market. So I was applying to WHO. I need to have some sort of like health related degree. And I was like, oh, it's fine. I'm just going to learn on the spot. It's okay. So then I started, okay, let me change. And someone gave me this tip. I made literally an Excel list, and I put all the UN agencies. And then I went through them and I said, okay, like which one? And again, today with ChatGPT, you can do it in 5 minutes. So I was like copy pasting from the internet at the time. Just put all the agencies and their websites. And then I start looking, okay, what each agency does and eliminating, okay, this is not for me. Trade, I'm not interested, health, I'm not interested. And I just delete them. I mean, I would hide the things just in case in the future I suddenly became a doctor and then, I'd go back there. But then I would put my kind of top 5.
Yeah.
Like the ones, exactly, you never know.
This is very interesting.
Life is long.
Yeah.
I would put my top 5 on the top, and I would say, okay, these are the top 5 I really want to work. This is like my number 1, and then, where I'm going to put the action. And then like few other ones, like a backup, like a follow-up version. And then I would actually like put everything that, let's say I would go into each website and look at their vacancies. And then I would say, okay, this is like a vacancy, like a hot one. It's closing soon. I'm very qualified for it, And then I would start doing research on who works there, who is the boss of it, on LinkedIn, like who is connected to this vacancy and everything. And then start looking at, okay, who are the people around this person that I know? And again, this is why I mean, like LinkedIn is so easy because it just shows you immediately if you know someone or you don't know. And then if I wouldn't know, then I would send like a message, oh, hi. I wouldn't say I want to apply for this job. I would just say like, I'm interested in this career, can you please advise me? Just to get a call with a person or something or a meeting that would, make that. Now, the other thing is that checking the legal status of can you work or can you not work? This is very important because a lot of people would apply to a job. Like if I'm Albanian, Albanians cannot work everywhere in the world. We cannot work in the EU. So the UN has different rules. So if you get a job in the UN, it doesn't matter where you come from. They will do the paperwork for you. So that's great. You don't have to think about, I need a permit, etc. But there's a lot of places that you might be the perfect person, but you don't have the legalities around it. And they will disqualify you immediately if you don't have that. So when you send your CV, if you don't have the right paperwork, etc., then some people go and write like Albanian national. This is like you are asking them to disqualify you. Why? Because they know you don't have the paperwork, right? So if you don't have the paperwork, like there's no need to write that from the beginning, because when we are hiring people, and I'm sure many people here are hiring and have hired in their life, you get so many applications. You are looking to disqualify people. You're not looking actually like, wow, this is good. Like I read something, I'm like, oh, there's a typo, disqualified, no attention to detail. That could be like the perfect candidate. But because I'm getting 300 CVs, I just want to have reasons to get rid of people and then try to get to the kind of top people. So don't give anybody reasons to disqualify you and so on. And I was doing that, I would be like writing all my life there in the CV and everything. So people would just be like, oh, and then I would live in London and I want to move to Geneva, right? So I would put my London address and my London mobile number. People were like, oh, people here are not getting a job in the UN. Like this girl wants to come from London here, forget it. And I was just a student, just graduated, had some small jobs before. So it's not that I had like this top level experience that people will actually say, yeah, I want to move you here because you are like the right person for the job. So when you're competing at that level, you're competing with everybody, all the juniors in the world, right? So if you put now that you live in London, they'll be like, no, I have the junior in Geneva, like they can come for an interview right now. So I changed that and I removed the elements, like omitting, as they say, without putting it out there, so that you can have a chance for people to actually look at your skills, at what you're doing, and then see what you can do. So that's very important also to really check the legal stages and all of that. And then, of course, network with people online and offline. Again, I was in the UK, so it was very difficult to go to London. I didn't have money to just go and fly back and forth and stay in the hotels, to go to Geneva from London. So I was trying to network online as much as possible and try to get those calls with people. And now it's beautiful because after COVID, everybody's used to these calls. So before people were like, oh, a Zoom call, a phone call, I'm not sure. But now people are like, yeah, let's jump on a call. So I would tell people, let's do a 15-minute call. I want to learn more about what you do. I wouldn't ask them, I want to get a job, because of course, if you say I want to get a job, people will be like, okay, bye, please apply on the website. Even you, when you're looking for a job, if someone tells you I want to get a job, you're like, no way. But if someone tells you, I like your career, can you give me 15 minutes? I have some questions. And do not ask people for a job on that call. Just really honestly ask them what you asked for. So I want to know how to get, a career in auditing. And you are the top auditor I see in this organization. When you do the call, really ask them questions about it. How did you get into this? What do you think are the skills required? Is there any certifications, people need? Don't go and tell them after, I need a job. And then the person is like, I don't even know you. Like, there's no way I'm going to give you a job or recommend you to anyone. When you ask people things around the job, they will say, this person is good. Like, they're really trying hard. I know Anna Maria, she also works in auditing. Maybe I will put you in touch with her because she actually works more in what you want. And then those people will put you in touch with someone else, and always offer people something. So for example, you say, oh, this is so great. And actually, I'm part of an association of auditors. Maybe you could do like a talk for us, even if it doesn't happen, because maybe in the end, it doesn't work out. The person will feel like, okay, you're not here to just take, right? You're offering me something. And then I feel like I will offer you something also, like, okay, I will put you in touch, or I will send you this, or send me your CV. I will give you feedback on it. Things like that. So really ask the questions that you want to ask, and also offer people something, because you want to be in a debt. Is in many societies, and culturally, you don't want to be the first one to take, right? If people are indebted to you, this is the perfect position to be in. So every time I'm talking to someone, I always say, what can I do for you? Even if I'm a student, maybe you can come to my school and give a speech online. Maybe you could be a mentor, for some of us. Maybe you can be a guest lecturer. So then you can speak to your university and say, hey, I met this top person at the UN. They are the top auditor. Do you think we can organize an online lecture? The university would be happy to do that. That's great for the students. You give something, that person feels like, wow, I'm kind of indebted to you. You can reach out to them in 3 months, 1 month, and say, hey, now I'm looking for a job. Do you think there could be something, not with you, right? Not to put the person on the spot so that they have to say, no, I don't have anything. But be like, hey, if you hear something in your network, please let me know. Sometimes I get people on LinkedIn that literally write to me, oh, I need a job. And then here's my CV. It's like, I don't even know you. Just because we're connected, right? Like, I have no idea. And also, if you need a job, please write like exactly what you need. So at least I can think of someone. And also send spontaneous applications. That's another thing. A lot of people don't do it. It works. It worked for me once. So if it worked once, I think it always works. Just send it. You never know. Sometimes people might be looking for someone, and then, people don't apply because it looks complicated, whatever. Just go for it. And also apply to everything, in the sense of not everything, like if you're not a doctor, apply to be a doctor, but to everything that even maybe you don't have all the boxes, make sure to still apply if you tick like 80% of it. Why? Because as we all know, when you get a new job, you learn a lot of things on the job. When people say, do you have experience in this software? If you have minimal experience, if you understand it, anyway, someone will teach you. So make sure that you apply, even though you're not the 100%. So I remember I applied for a job. They were saying, do you have experience in CRM? This is the client relation management system, right? Very known, especially if you're in marketing and stuff like that. I knew CRM. I knew how to use it, small stuff. I can watch a couple of YouTube videos. I wasn't the CRM queen. Like, I'm not the top. And I got the job. Why? Because they're not looking for you to be the top person. And what happened on the first week of the job? I got a CRM training. So even if I knew nothing about CRM, I will be trained anyway. So unless it's something like, do you speak German and you don't speak, like, please don't apply. But if it's things that you can learn, you should apply because you never know. Now, very briefly, quickly, because I know also related to timing, I want to make sure we take the questions. What jobs exist in the UN? Everything exists in the UN, but you have to really pay attention on the positions. So you have internships. This is usually unpaid, unfortunately, but some of the agencies are paid. So if you cannot do an unpaid internship, which of course, because you have to pay for your living, accommodation, and so on, make sure to target only the agencies that are paid. And you can see that on their website, it's very clear. The next thing is consultancies. This is an easier way, let's say, to go in, because consultant means that you are not a full-time or a fixed-term staff member. You are seen as an outsider still, and sometimes you are needed only for 3 months, 2 months, 6 months. So it's easier to hire someone for a month, right? Because the relation is not going to be so, let's say, if I hire someone for the next 2 years with a 2-year contract, I really want to make sure this is the right person, because it's going to be very difficult to end that relationship. But for 1 month, I'm happy to test you. So this works sometimes very well. If you see that you know someone in the UN and you say, hey, hire me as a consultant for 1 month. If it doesn't work out, it's fine, nothing, no strings attached. This is a good way to also kind of put yourself in a probation test and so on. Then you have the short term and fixed term, which means you are a staff member, you get all the benefits, insurances, holidays, and all of that. But you are for a short term position, like you are positioned for 6 months or 1 year, or it's less than 2 years. And for a fixed term position, it can be up to 4 years. And then you have the grading. So anything you see in the UN that is a G grade, this is a general administration service grade. So if you are like doing general admin services, if you're an admin person, this is the place to apply. If you do, for example, like registration for events, if you are doing assistant, if you are doing paperwork, editing, writing, this is the place. And then P grade, this is the professional grading system. This is that you have to have a specific expertise. So let's say you are a doctor, you can apply to the P grade because you have an expertise that is specific. And then this is the grading system. So when you see jobs at the UN and you see like consultant, short term, fixed term, this is what it means. And in the beginning, when you don't know about it, you get a little bit confused. But so you can apply to the right grades, because sometimes I would apply, for example, for a P grade that was very high, and I didn't know what P grade meant, right? So I was applying for something that I needed a lot of expertise. So this is very, very important to know. The interview process is like everywhere else, right? There's an application, there's an interview, a test, and the offer. Now, what's very important is that when you apply, the UN has its own application system. So you cannot submit your own CV, just upload it. You have to make the application as it is there. And it's very, very key to ensure that when you apply at the very end of the system, it asks you 5 questions related to the job. So if the job is wanting you to speak French, let's say, it will say, do you speak French? If you reply no to any of these 5 questions, they will automatically disqualify you. So be careful with that questionnaire at the end, because 1 no will automatically disqualify you. So make sure that all these questions are yes, because otherwise you are wasting your time and you will be waiting to hear from people and no one is ever going to write to you until the process is closed. The interview process in the UN, it's very interesting because it follows a specific type. So it always asks you a question about yourself, a technical question, a question about, priorities, and then it always closes with a question about why you are the right person for that. So try to, always Google, and you are welcome to reach out to me later, and I'm happy to share a lot of things with you, documentation and so on, that, it's out there available that you can always have a look. Then there is a test. The test is usually related to what you're applying for. So if it's an admin job test, it will be about write a letter, write an email, this kind of stuff. And if it's a specific test, let's say if you apply for political advisor, in economy, then there will be some questions around that. And then in the end, the offer comes. UN process is a long process. So don't think that, you're going to apply today and in 1 month you go and get the answer for the staff positions. For consultant position, it can be very fast. It can be 1 week, You apply, they need someone fast because it's for an event or something, they will get you. But for a staff position, it can take a little bit time, up to 6 months, sometimes even 1 year. So I know people that would say like, I got an answer that they want to give me the job and I applied 1 year ago and they're like, I moved to another country. Like, what is this? This is crazy. So keep that in mind when you apply for the UN. It's a long term process. So don't expect, to get it quickly. I put here just a little bit of, some clarity tips, what you should do. I always list the following because this helps me. What are you good at? What you want to do, but you're not the expert. And who do you want to work for? And even list specific people or type of environment. So for example, I have come to learn in my life that I hate office work, like being in the office, from 9 to 5, like I'm stuck there. I really don't like it. It kills my vibe. I want to be free to meet people in their offices and stuff like that, because this is the person I am. I love working with people. So if I do a research job, that's not for me, by myself all day, no way. So this is something, like you have to think about what you really like and you don't like, because I know in the beginning of the career also, we want to take anything, right? I took so many jobs that like I wouldn't take today, but because you want to create that career and you want to have that reputation and know the people. So you are the yes person, like any job, I will just take it. I would go to interviews. I don't even look at their environment or the people. I'm just like, if they give me the job, I'll take it. But after a little bit of time, just a few years, like 3 years in, I started going to interviews and I was like, I don't like these people. Like, I don't like this office. There's no way I'm going to work here. Because you have a little bit more choice, of course, because you have a little bit more experience. So that's where personal branding really helps, because the more experience you get, the more branding you get, and then you start being like, no, you need me and I also need you. I remember once to an office and they treated me so not nice, I thought, but in the back years, I would have taken the job because I needed the job. And then I was like, no, I might as well wait another month, like, instead of being stuck in a job that I hate and then good luck getting out of it. So that's also very important. And then it's going a little bit crazy. All right. So then the next thing is like focus on your core sentence. This is like the elevator pitch for startups, right? A lot of people don't have it. So what's your core sentence? Like, I'm Ana Maria. I love to get things done. I love to connect with people and I can sell any product, right? That's my strength. Now, what I want to do, maybe I'm not in this space, but like I want to support companies, I want to support startups, and I want to work in a small entity, which is fun. People can allow me to do my own creative stuff. And I'm not stuck in the office space. Or for example, I'm Ana Maria, I'm looking for a position in the UN. I work already with entrepreneurs and startups, and I'm very good at connecting people and create partnerships. So when you send me something like this and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, I know, okay, so you need partnerships, marketing. Immediately I start thinking like, who are the people I know in this space? And then, I will direct you. If you just send me like, I'm looking for a job and CV, honestly, no one has time to go through your CV and try to understand your path and whatever, and what job should I put you in. So if you want to make it even more specific, narrow it to the agencies or for the UN or to the companies, or whatever for the job. So you can say, this is Ana Maria. I love to connect people. I love to support startups. I'm very good at selling. I was working with a lot of startups in my previous experience. Now I want to work for UNICEF because I think, these things can be great for UNICEF because I can bring more companies and startups to them. So something like that, very specific. Also, when you reach out to LinkedIn people, do the same. So that people can say, oh, I don't know anyone in UNICEF, and actually I cannot help you because I don't know anything about startups. Or actually, I know a lot of people in startups and in UNICEF, and I actually know a startup that works with children that just recruiting now. So help me to find out, It's like when you tell someone, what do you want for your birthday? I want clothes. Like, clothes, what clothes? Where? What? Dress, skirt, pant, So be specific and tell me, I want this, skirt from that shop. And that's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
And it's going to make my life easy because I can go immediately to the shop and buy it. It's the same. I need a job. Here's my CV. It's like, I want clothes and here's my personality. Like, good luck finding. So the top 3 questions, right, to answer, to figure out yourself, it's just to leave you with this kind of messaging is what can you do? So what are your core strengths? What do you want to do? And who do you want to work with? And that's going to totally shape your brand. If you want to work for Nestle, go check out people on Nestle, how their LinkedIn profile looks like, what career they've had, how they position themselves, what they post, where they post, who they follow, and do the same. Just mimic them. Because usually people hire people like themselves, right? We are all about diversity and all of that. But in the end, the hiring manager is going to be like, did you read the Harvard Business Review? No. So if I read Harvard Business Review and you didn't, I'll be like, oh, you don't know anything. Even though maybe it doesn't matter in this context. So, but if you check me on LinkedIn and you see I'm following Harvard Business Review, it means that I'm probably reading. And then if you see I'm doing posts about it, oh, I read this article, you totally understand me. So when you meet me, you come to the interview, or even when you send me a message, you say, hey, I read this article in Harvard Business Review, and I thought maybe this is interesting for you, would love to discuss it, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be like, oh, that's interesting. There's someone like me, like he likes the same thing or she likes the same thing. So that's really key to it. So the other thing is, don't forget to work on your online presence. And I would hit on LinkedIn, but again, for the people that are good at X and all the other platforms, professional platforms, please do what you're good at. But LinkedIn, everyone will look at your LinkedIn for work-related stuff. They even ask you now to put it on the jobs most of the time when you are doing that. And then demonstrate yourself in action. Go to those speaking events, organize your own speaking events. If nobody's inviting you in the beginning, trying to do that. Be consistent, keep throwing the same sentence that we talked about yourself everywhere. Go to those networking events. And when you travel, don't forget to do that. And again, networking is key. So really start networking with people. And at some point you will see who are the most important people and then start paying more attention to those instead of everyone else. In the beginning, I think it's a little bit of an overdose type of networking. Go everywhere, be everywhere. Everybody's going to know your name. And then after you start selecting, and then you start being like, okay, I'm going to have coffee with this person. I'm going to have lunch with this person, so that, you get that better. So that's it from my side. I hope it was helpful and it was not too boring. I know I spoke too much. And I think we can do the Q&A. So I let the team lead the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Anna Maria. That was a wonderful session. The information that you were sharing was really... Just a second.
Of course, no worries at all. I see also in the chat, a lot of chat. Sorry, I missed all of that. I totally agree of working from home. Everybody likes working from home.
So sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, like you can see that a lot of questions are there. Like we cannot address all the questions. Definitely, I'll be picking some of the questions. Okay, and the very first question is that, like, how can